All right, let's get into it. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest, most fundamental shifts in the history of entertainment. Seriously, this isn't just some small tech update we're looking at. No, this is the complete rewriting of the gaming matrix as we know it, and we're going to break it all down. So, let's kick things off with a quote that, well, it pretty much says it all. If your game's core isn't based on AI by 2026, you're developing a digital corpse. Just think about that for a second. We're not talking about adding a few cute little AI interactions here and there. This is about survival. It's a warning shot. If you're not building with AI at the absolute core of your game, you're basically already creating something that's dead on arrival. Okay, so here's the plan. First, we'll look at the AI revolution in gaming, then the death of the dialogue tree, followed by the concept of the never-ending game. After that, we'll check out the bot testing army, and finally, wrap up with the developer's nightmare. All right, Section 1, Gaming's AI Revolution. You know, for decades, pretty much every single line of dialogue, every single mission in those huge AAA games, it was all scripted by hand, meticulously. But here's the thing, as these game worlds have exploded in size, we're talking continent-size maps now. That old manual approach is just not possible anymore. It's completely broken. And I mean, think about it. For more than 30 years, even in the most legendary games we all grew up with, the way you interacted with the world was, well, it was stuck. It was a creative dead end. We're talking about state machines and pre-written dialogue trees. You know the drill, right? You walk up to a character, you hit a button, and you get to pick from like 3 pre-written lines. It was basically a fancy choose-your-own-adventure book on a screen. That's all it was. So, if that old way is dead, what's taking its place? This brings us to the death of the dialogue tree and the birth of the cybernetic NPC. The solution, of course, is large language models, or LLMs. And these things aren't just a minor improvement on NPCs. No, they are completely shattering the old architecture. They're giving birth to something entirely new. Just look at the difference here. The old way, the state machine, was totally rigid. You followed a pre-written path and that was it. The new way, it's what's called cognitive configuration. Instead of a writer spending weeks scripting out 500 lines of dialogue for a shopkeeper, a developer now just writes a simple file. It defines the shopkeeper's personality, maybe some secrets they have, their motivations, and that's it. The AI, using tech like NVIDIA ACE or in-world AI, takes that simple file and generates everything else on the fly. And this is where it gets really wild. Let's talk about memory. A classic NPC, its memory, is just a bunch of true-false flags. Has player completed quest A? True. That's it. But a cybernetic NPC, it has infinite semantic memory. So if you insult a shopkeeper in Chapter 1, they're gonna remember it forever. They might tell other people in the town about you. Heck, it might permanently change the prices they offer you. This isn't just about following a script anymore, it's about building an actual relationship with these characters. Okay, so you might be wondering, what stops a fantasy elf from suddenly starting a conversation about, I don't know, the New York Stock Exchange, right? Well, that's where a technology called RAG comes in. That's Retrieval Augmented Generation. Think of it like a set of guardrails for the AI. It connects the language model to a local database that's just packed with the game's lore. This makes sure that the NPCs stay grounded in their own world and prevents those really immersion-breaking AI hallucinations. So we've got these incredibly smart characters you can talk to. That's amazing. But what about what you do in the game? This leads us to our next section, the never-ending game. Because AI isn't just changing dialogue, it's creating infinite, completely personalized quests. I mean, come on, you know this one. We've all been there. Are you tired of collecting 5 wolf pelts? The dreaded fetch quest. Go here, kill 10 boars, come back. This formula has been a plague on open-world games for years, and it's not because developers are lazy. It's because designing thousands of unique, engaging quests by hand is just an insane amount of work. So, what's the fix? Well, it's something called an AI game master. Think of it like a personal dungeon master that lives inside your game. First, it's constantly watching you, analyzing your psychology. Are you the kind of player who goes in guns blazing, or do you prefer to stick to the shadows? Then, based on that, it builds a mission structure, a basic logic graph from point A to point B. And the final step? It uses a language model to generate all the narrative flavor, the unique dialogue, the clues, the story beats, all of it, tailored specifically to you and your playstyle. The result? No 2 players ever get the exact same mission again. Okay, this all sounds incredible, but it creates a whole new problem. How in the world do you test a game that is constantly generating new, unique content for every single player? You can't just throw a team of human testers at it anymore. The scale is just, it's impossible. You need a completely new kind of army, a bot testing army. We're talking about AI bots that can simulate tens of thousands of hours of human gameplay in a tiny fraction of the time it would take an actual human team. For these massive dynamic games, the old way of doing quality assurance, or QA, is pretty much becoming obsolete. And listen, these are not your dumb, old-school bots that just run into walls. No way. Developers are now creating AI with specific player personas. They'll literally unleash an army of speedrunner bots to try and break the game by finishing it as fast as possible. They'll send in troll or griefer bots that actively try to wreck the game's economy. And, of course, they have completionist bots that try to find every single secret. This automated army can find bugs and exploits that no human team, no matter how big, could ever hope to find. But, and this is a huge but, all of this incredible world-bending power comes at a massive cost. Building these living, breathing matrices has created a whole new set of terrifying challenges. This brings us to the final section, the developer's nightmare, the dark side of this whole AI revolution. So we've seen all the amazing things that are possible, but what's the real cost of this digital reality? What does it actually take to create and maintain these worlds that think and breathe? This, right here, is where the nightmare begins for the people making these games. Essentially, developers are staring down three core nightmares. First up is inference cost. Just think about this. Every single time an NPC has a thought, it costs a tiny bit of money because it's hitting a cloud server. Now, multiply that by thousands of players, all talking to thousands of NPCs 24/7. The monthly server bill could spiral into the millions. It's insane. The second nightmare, jailbreaking. Players are smart. They can use clever prompts, what's called prompt injection, to manipulate NPCs, maybe even convince a character to give them all the gold in the kingdom, or worse, trick them into revealing server admin secrets. And finally, there's latency, the delay. If you ask an NPC a question and it takes more than half a second to respond, the magic is gone, the illusion is shattered. It's this constant battle against the laws of physics and the realities of finance. So the takeaway here is that the era of playing through a linear, pre-scripted story, it's over, it's done. We are fundamentally shifting away from just consuming static content and are now stepping into living, breathing, autonomous simulations. The challenges, as we've seen, are absolutely immense. But one thing is crystal clear. We are no longer just playing games. We are living in matrices that breathe. It really makes you wonder, what happens when that line between player and creator just disappears entirely?